Today on Locked On Rockies, the young guys lead the way yet again in a nice bounce-back win for the Rockies, plus the importance of Brendan Rodgers and Charlie Blackmon.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 15th day of August in the year 2023. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Rockies podcast. I'm your Rockies fan extraordinaire from Colorado, fan of it my entire life, despite claims from the contrary. That we got from some of our YouTube comments, but that's all right. We encourage you to drop your Rockies hot takes. Let us know what you think about the Rockies on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. Be part of the show. Subscribe and check us out there. You can check us out free and streaming on your favorite streaming service, because we're proud to be part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. Also available on Sirius XM and the Sirius XM app. At the top here, my microphone's acting kind of strange. I hope that I'm speaking loud enough, and I hope that everything is picking up enough on your end. But for some reason, everything is coming in very quiet on my end, and I haven't been able to quite figure it out. I'm looking into it, and I'm hoping a little reboot, refresh will do the trick. But we needed to get the pod done. We needed to get the pod out there. So if it's a little bit quieter than you're used to, or if the audio is a little weird, let me know, and I am looking into addressing any and all issues here on the Locked On Rockies podcast when it comes to audio. So today on the show, we're going to talk about, of course, that fun win from last night and the impact of the young Rockies involved in that. Going to talk about how the stage is kind of set with these Arizona matchups when you're looking at impactful young guys. That you have to look at Corbin Carroll over there for the Diamondbacks as well. He's someone that we are going to see a whole lot of moving forward here coming up in the years to come as this Rockies and Diamondbacks rivalry will continue. And last night was certainly what felt like another classic installment and part of Rockies versus Diamondbacks, with it all leading into a thrilling bottom of the eighth inning where the Rockies come all the way back, take a big lead off of hits from Brendan Rodgers and Nolan Jones and Alan Trejo there. It really did. It felt like a classic matchup between these two teams, and we got to break it down. We got to look at what we liked, got to look at what we don't like here, and we're also going to talk about the impact of Brendan Rodgers and Charlie Blackmon returning to the lineup and what it means for the Rockies. And let's kind of start there. I want to start with the Rockies are getting the right veterans they need for this stretch back. Brendan Rodgers is looking to, of course, Rodgers has kind of a complicated and different path to this veteran leadership, because he's someone that hasn't quite been able to stay healthy enough to fully do what he's been expected of himself, and I think the team expects so far. But we're seeing glimpses of that, and we're seeing moments like the big AB yesterday, where he comes up and gets the 2 RBI base knock there. It wasn't an overly impressive or dominant base hit. It was a professional at bat that led to exactly what the Rockies needed. Got the ball in play and drove in 2 runs. And he bats 500 on the day there. The one, you're still concerned about some of the rust there. But Brendan Rodgers immediately adds depth and more offense to this team, on top of increasing the defense that's already been a strength for the Rockies, especially in the second half, and especially with some of the tools of these players. So you're able to feel more confident. The return of Brendan Rodgers allows you to feel more confident in this team's ability to perform late in ball games like that, to come up big in big opportunities, because Brendan Rodgers has that ability, and we know that Brendan Rodgers can be that type of player. So there you are also getting the young guys able to meld with who could very possibly be a big part of their time with the Rockies, depending on how the Rockies handle the future of Brendan Rodgers. So they're getting moments and opportunities to play with him and build their relationships, which only makes the Rockies more cohesive and more of a threat on defense to back up some pitching that was pretty darn good in this game. I mean, Chris Flexen wasn't pretty. In 6 innings, he gives up the 4 earned, strikes out 6 and only walks 1. I mean, the hits are a factor, especially the long ball doing the damage against Flexen, as the long ball has done damage against the Rockies pitchers all year. Basically the Rockies' biggest source of damage dealt against them this year has been the long ball, especially in bad situations. But the Rockies able to start chipping away thanks to the young guys in the lineup as well, and the right guys who need to come up big in situations on offense in Montero and Tovar to help jumpstart this team. And then, like we talked about with Rodgers, you feel better and more confident in the Rockies being able to continue the rally, get the runs they needed in the 8th, because Rodgers is in the batter's box. He's someone that makes the Rockies a bigger threat on offense, even though you look 2 batters later and the pinch hitter, the one that you would most likely associate with filling in for Rodgers, kind of depends on Harold Castro or Alan Trejo can kind of fill both of that role for most of this year. But Alan Trejo comes up with the big base knock as well. So maybe that doesn't translate all the time, but you're more confident in Rodgers in that situation. You're more confident in the Rockies overall with Rodgers on the field because of what we know Rodgers is capable of and what we know Rodgers can do in big situations for the Rockies, and help kickstart an offense that desperately needs it, that desperately needed to a nice turnaround and a game where they can put up 11 hits after being dominated all weekend in LA and getting a lot of those hits late and attacking bullpens, which can usually, I believe the bullpen has been a pretty big source of weakness, if I recall correctly, for the Diamondbacks in some stretches of this season on our conversations with Locked On Diamondbacks there. But that was great to see the Rockies able to have young guys set themselves up. They turned to one of their big veterans in Brendan Rodgers, and he's able to come up big in a situation. And he's not the only veteran that returned yesterday and made an immediate impact. Charlie Blackmon goes 2 for 3 and a walk with that and scores a big run late. Immediate impact. Immediately he is. It shows why Charlie Blackmon is still someone that deserves to find time in the lineup when he's hitting. He's not the hitter of the past. He's not the power threat as he used to be, but he's someone that can still get on base, and he's still someone that provides a leadoff threat, especially when the Rockies needed to immediately pivot from Jerks and Profar. Charlie Blackmon came back at the exact right time and had an immediate impact on the ballgame. He's also the right type of leader, the right type of veteran Rocky that you want working with these players, being with these players, going through the season, and being on the field with them. Charlie Blackmon can fill the Todd Helton type role. When Todd and the Toddlers was happening, Charlie can do exactly that. And I want to dive into a piece from Purple Row that I saw. I think it was Purple Row or someone. We won't get to it on today's episode because there's too much from the game to talk about there. But the case for extending Charlie Blackmon next year, and I want to dive into that kind of idea and philosophy a little bit as well, because the thing especially with Charlie Blackmon is we have to pump the brakes. We know the pump the brakes of excitement, sure, when it comes to Chuck, because we know the dip in performance. But when you're looking and talking about Rockies offense so far this year, I mean, he's been good for the Rockies. He's been better than other people have been for the Rockies, and has actually been someone that can contribute, especially when you can factor in the fact that he's missed a significant portion of this season. In 214 at-bats this year, Charlie Blackmon's batting .271 with 5 home runs, 26 RBI, and an OBP of .354, slugging of .425, an OPS of .779, and an OPS plus of .101. It's not flashy, it's not great, but it's performance, and that's a good line for someone at the top of the order. The home runs and the slugging are down, but the batting average still remains pretty high, and the RBI generation and run scoring threat is there. Charlie Blackmon is someone that can still be effective as a DH. When you compare him to every other, to the above average or the better or good solid leadoff options, yes, Charlie Blackmon starts to fall down a little bit. But especially right now, Charlie Blackmon provides good depth to the lineup, adds more of an offensive threat than the Rockies had been dealing with, especially in the times of post-Crone, post-Grichuk, and post-trade deadline when the Rockies moved on from some of their other veteran bats. This is now an opportunity for us to be reminded what Charlie Blackmon's role is on this team, and it's to do what he did last night. Lead a ball game off as the DH, go 2 for 3 with a walk, and be able and score a run in a big-time situation. The Rockies getting Brendan Rodgers and Charlie Blackmon will help them and will help the young guys get better and will make the team a little bit more fun to watch as we go through the dog days of summer. Let's talk a little bit more about the young Rockies and especially about the one, the only Ezequiel Tovar, who needs to start getting a little bit more love, I think, on the national scale here. We'll talk about that and more coming up in segment number 2. Before we do that, got to tell you about some of the folks that help make this show possible. It's prime barbecue time, right, folks? I know you're out there. It's summer. It's hot. You got the grill fired up. You're watching Rockies baseball just like I used to growing up. Grill on, Rockies on. It's officially summer. And Ibotta gives you cash back on hundreds of grocery items from produce to personal care to pantry goods. So you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. You can either link your loyalty account or upload the receipt after you shop and get your cash back. It's that easy with Ibotta. The average Ibotta user earns $120 per year. That could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip, or you could use your cash back to buy that flight you've been eyeing, that game you're dying to go to, or that fancy dinner you've been craving. You can earn cash back on hundreds of online brands and retailers too when you start with Ibotta, including Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, and more. Right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 for trying Ibotta by using code MLB when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app and use code MLB. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store and use code MLB. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast. We're free and streaming on your favorite streaming service, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. Thank you for interacting with us on the comments section. A lot of fired up fans in the YouTube comments here of late. And we're breaking down Rockies Diamondbacks, and a game that started out being one of those ones where you kind of rolled your eyes. You kind of felt like this isn't going to go the Rockies' way, isn't going to lead to a fun night. The Rockies turn it around and are I think, really have now to two teams that I think have had some expectations shattered. The Diamondbacks fans are going to look at this loss if things continue to struggle for them as one to remember. And the Yankees, I was seeing over the weekend, kept going back to the series in Colorado where the Rockies spoiled things for them and came back and were able to do damage to their hopes, because every loss that Arizona takes, especially against the Rockies in this series, is a tough one, because these are moments that you need to gain back ground, especially as the Padres are in free fall. The Giants are underperforming on offense. The Dodgers, after playing the Rockies, only increased their lead and only increased their dominance over the rest of the division. So for the Rockies to be able to get 4 late and able to get a nice win, that's what they're looking to do, and that's what they're looking for when you're looking for your positive storylines. Being a thorn in the side of NL West rivals is a good thing. And the Rockies stealing that win, it helped buck. Ooh, that was a weird voice crack right there. It helped buck a trend that the Rockies were setting against the Diamondbacks this year, where the Rockies, not their NL West struggles are against almost every team this year. They have been bad here. This is from the Rockies game notes here ahead of the game yesterday. Entering the game yesterday, the Rockies were 1-6 against the Diamondbacks this season and 7-25 against the NL West. That's a .219 winning percentage against the West and stands as the lowest in franchise history, trailing the 1997 Rockies, who finished the year at 13-23 with the .361 winning percentage. I mean, we talked about the Dodgers being the test and the Dodgers being so far ahead of the Rockies yesterday. I mean, that's full display this year, and the West has just bullied their little brother in the basement here. And then again, ahead of yesterday's game, as this changed, the Rockies have lost 4 in a row against Arizona after a 4-game sweep at Chase Field in late May. A loss tonight would give Colorado its longest losing streak to the D-backs since 2019. So not only do the Rockies break a losing streak in general, they break a losing streak against the Diamondbacks and hopefully able to recuperate and make this season series a little bit closer because, the Rockies have been playing some better ball at home. They've been able to be a better team, especially when it comes to offense. They've been able to tap in a little bit to that, to the benefits and the joys of home, as they are currently sitting with a home record of 26-30. Again, nothing flashy or fancy there in terms of their home loss record, but of course a much better record there at home than on the road. So, on top of all of this type of stuff, the young Rockies led to the win yesterday. I mean, the Rockies, it starts with 2 key home runs from Montero and Tovar. Every single time Montero homers the rest of the season, it will be exciting. I'm glad that Montero is continuing to be in the lineup and more often than not, continuing to see pitches, continuing to get at bats. He's very comfortable hitting at home, especially for him. So I'm hopeful that Montero is able to set himself up for a nice September, especially, and build himself into a nice little groove. And I think people need to start talking more about Ezequiel Tovar. I think Ezequiel Tovar, there are other candidates easily for NL Rookie of the Year. That's fine. I just want Tovar in the conversation and for him to be the thing that continues to stand out amidst, negative headline and negative performance, negative result, and overall a crappy season for the Rockies. You can't neglect that the Rockies have a shortstop waiting to be a star again. It's a cool little thing that the Rockies have been able to consistently do, and while he doesn't have the same power numbers as Tulo or Story, he's hitting the ball well in a different era of baseball than those two, all while being someone that is one of the best defenders in all of baseball. Tovar holds a 9. This might have changed a little bit. I mean, I'm sure not too much with one game, but again, this is from the Rockies game notes there from yesterday. Tovar holds a .986 fielding percentage, currently the second best fielding percentage by a rookie shortstop in not only Rockies history, Major League history, trailing Troy Tulowitzki, who had a .987 in 2007. That is stud-like behavior. That is incredibly encouraging. And the icing on top is the Rockies have great defense at a position that it's essential to have strong defense at shortstop. They're getting someone that can handle and swing a major league bat. Again, he's not blowing the doors off of everybody, but he's coming up big with key home runs in key situations, something that's not necessarily what you think of when you think of Tovar when it comes to power. But this is a guy that's batting .260 right now for the Rockies. He's had 13 home runs with 7 stolen bases, 18 walks this year. The strikeout to walk ratio isn't going to look good for any of the Rockies rookies. So we have to mention that. We have to look at that. But 53 runs batted in here for this, 100 hits on the season. He's scored 56 times. He is proving that he is legit. He's proving that he is getting better. He's getting more comfortable. And like we talked about, bouncing back when he faces adversity, when he's faced issues, when he's faced struggles, errors that cost the game, other things. He's been someone that's been able to perform, especially during difficult times for the Rockies. He's the only one that got some hits and even scored a run for the Rockies in that Dodgers series. Last 7 games for Montero, he's batting .357 with an OBP of 400 and a slugging of .679. He's had 2 home runs in that time. He's added in, if you go back to the last 30 games, he's had 4 home runs. He's driven in 9. He's had 5 walks, still struck out 38 times. I'm not ignoring it, but 3 stolen bases, 246, 272, 424. So a dip in overall average, but generating runs, being a threat, and going through it still like everyone else is, as the Rockies continue to be a team that struggles with strikeouts. But in games like yesterday, you get encouraged. We're looking for the little victories this year, and it's great to see a big that happen and the Rockies have a big comeback win at home and get the job done. It's even better when it's highlighted by guys like Tovar. A couple of other guys I want to highlight as well from the game that we got to mention, and I just kind of want to focus a little bit what's cool about this series as we talk about Tovar, we talk about younger Rockies, and we talk about an Arizona team that's led by a star young guy and has plenty of people really looking to make their name and impact on the league. The Rockies and D-backs are set up for some pretty fun baseball, I think, going forward, highlighted especially by Tovar and Corbin Carroll there. We'll talk more about that and more coming up here on Locked On Rockies in segment number 3. But before we do that, I want to tell you about our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is your spot for all your sports betting action. They got you covered for football. They got you covered for Rockies, baseball, and more. And as football season is about to kick off, FanDuel is giving you the chance to win all season long. Because right now, when you bet on a Super Bowl winner, you can get bonus bets every time they win in the regular season. Just pick any team to win the Super Bowl, and you'll get bonus bets for every victory. You can use your bonus bets on spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and start earning bonus bets with America's #1 sportsbook. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Check it out. Don't miss out. That's a pretty cool thing. Broncos, you're looking, with my guess, you're going to get 6 bonus bets. I wish I could be all aboard the Broncos hype train, but got to prove it to me first there, Russell Wilson. And I'll buy back in. But check it out at FanDuel.com/lockedon. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast for free and streaming on your favorite streaming service, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, you're in the right spot. That's what we do around here, is talk about the Colorado Rockies each and every single day. On top of the Rockies having big home runs and moments there from Tovar and Montero, the Rockies also were able to get big performances from other young guys in key situations. Still not always getting the multi-hit games, still escaping, but Nolan Jones comes up with a big hit. Alan Trejo comes up with a big pinch hit opportunity, and Justin Lawrence continues to be that guy. Justin Lawrence is so fun to watch close baseball games. I love the sweeper. I love the way the sweeper makes him come off the mound, and it's kind of a little sweeper type of step off that he has to do as well. Watching Justin Lawrence pitch is a treat. I love this bullpen right now as well. I mean, this is a bullpen that helped keep the Rockies in the game and set the table for the Rockies to have success. Brent Suter, another successful inning from him, and the Cook there again as well with 2 strikeouts. Rockies racking up the strikeouts last night, which was good to see. The Rockies pitching staff getting 11 strikeouts in the ball game. So, good to see the Rockies, especially with come down pretty big. At one point down 4-1. And then it all comes to unglued for that bullpen for the Diamondbacks, who just unfortunately couldn't. It was tough for most of those, that Mandaply, Mago, and Nelson also all struggling. It took 3 pitchers for the D-backs to get out of that 8th inning there before the Rockies set the table for the win. And what's really fun, I think, about these series right now, especially as the Diamondbacks, they're figuring things out. They navigate, hot start, good success at the beginning of the season. It's cooled off, but there's still plenty of baseball left. I really think the Corbin Carroll-led Diamondbacks are going to lead to a lot of fun baseball, a lot of fun series against the Rockies. I think we're going to see some players on these teams that fly under the radar nationally get to be able to clash in what should be some really, really cool and really, really fun ball. But that Corbin Carroll, man, he is a treat. That guy is fun to watch. When you can immediately come in, be an all-star, and have immediate impacts on your team, and someone that can really looks like he's going to be someone to watch for a long, long time. It's very, very fun. I think it's something too to look at and kind of be encouraged by, that the Rockies are going to hopefully have plenty of young guys that can go toe to toe with someone like Carroll. But I always think it's really fun and really cool to see when you're watching a team and you're watching a team trying to develop and show off the next big guy, the next big superstar player that can make impacts, especially for teams like the Diamondbacks. It's always cool to see. So I think the Rockies and the Diamondbacks are poised for a lot of hopefully competitive and fun ball going forward, as they both try to tackle this NL West, which has been an absolute brutal mess for the Rockies here, as we read so far in this season. I just wanted to read a couple of more defensive notes about some of the young guys here before we wrap things up for today's episode from the game notes yesterday. Doyle's active 79-game errorless streak, and I'm going to double-check that the Rockies didn't have any errors yesterday, just to make sure that that's still active. God, sometimes the clicking works so well, and sometimes the clicking is your enemy. No errors committed in the game yesterday, so this stat still applies. Doyle's active 79-game errorless streak is the second longest by a rookie in Rockies history, behind Matt Reynolds' 94 games from 2010 to 11. Doyle's streak is the 4th longest errorless streak among all Major League rookies in 2023, and the 3rd longest active stretch among all NL position players. Rookie outfielder Nolan Jones has totaled 4 DRS in the outfield while starting 30 games in right field and 16 in left field. His average arm strength of 98.3 miles per hour is the best among all position players. Doyle and Jones each have 7 outfield assists, tied for the 7th most in the NL and the most among NL rookies, tied with Corey Sullivan for the 2nd most by a rookie in franchise history, trailing Brad Hopp, 10 in 2005. Outside of these 4 players, no other Rocky has recorded more than 5 outfield assists in their rookie season with the club. Those are great benchmarks, and again, as this team continues to have to kind of grind and go through figuring out this offense, we got to continue to look for the positive storylines, and the defense for the Rockies and the defense of the young guys is a thing to enjoy and look at as well. Rockies back against the Diamondbacks again tonight, matching up here. They're at about 6:40 Mountain Time here, and Diamondbacks, they gotta make some noise here. They gotta turn things around here sooner rather than later, because they're 13 games back of the Dodgers when it comes to the top of the division, and they are currently 4 wins behind San Francisco as well for second place. And I feel like if you're second place in the NL West, you're fighting for a wild card spot there as well. So, folks, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Let's see if they can do it again tonight. If you enjoy the show, check us out on your favorite streaming service. And if you like it, check it out on YouTube as well. Don't miss out. Be part of the show. Let us know. Fire off your Rockies hot takes in the comments sections. Let me know what you think about the Colorado Rockies. And, folks, why don't you go check out Locked On Broncos, Locked On Avalanche, Locked On Nuggets, and Locked On Buffs. A YouTube commenter said I should go cover the Broncos, but they already got it covered. What am I going to go do? I got to cover the Rockies. That's what I'm here. That's what I like to do. So check out all those great Colorado podcasts if you're looking for your second listen of the day. And until next time, this is Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.